It's time for another Home Assistant hacks video. And although this video was supposed to feature 4 integrations or components, unfortunately it will only feature 3, and this is the reason why I am re-recording this intro screen. We'll be starting in a couple of seconds. So let's get cracking with the first one. This one is called Lovelace Entity Progress Card. And it's such a small but really awesome card. If you, for example, need to have a progress bar displayed somewhere on your dashboard. First, let's see how it looks. As you can see, it nicely fits into the new dashboard style, so you can use it for whatever purposes you, for example, need to show the state or the progress of something. For example, the battery state, the power usage, or the percentage of your light. Is it at 100% or not? The installation is simple, but no, this card is still not part of the official HACS repository. It will be probably in a couple of days, but until that time, we will need to manually add it as a custom repository inside HACS. How do you do that? You copy the URL that will be included down in the video description, go to your Home Assistant and open HACS. Inside HACS, click on 3 dots, Custom Repositories, paste the URL, and select Dashboard as the type of the card, since this is a front-end component. Click on Add, and this should be it. Close it, and now let's search for it. We have here Entity Progress Card, click on it, download, and this should be it. We just need to reload our front-end for the component to be active. Let's go to Overview, select tab where you want to add it, click on pencil, click on plus sign, and type in progress for Entity Progress Cards. Here you have a lot of options and you can play with most of them. I want to try and keep this video short, so I will just briefly go through main one. First off, we need to select an entity. In this case, I will be selecting a light. For example, this Elgato key light left, that's the light on the left side here. Default one is brightness, but of course you can play with attributes and select any attribute that suits your needs. Next, you can change the name, Elgato left. You can specify the minimum and maximum value. For example, let's say that minimum is 25 and maximum is 75. You can play with unit of measurement and decimal points. This one doesn't have decimal point, but for example, you can add how many decimal points you need. Let's keep it at 0. Unit of measurement, this one doesn't have unit of measurement, or actually it does, but we don't care about it. And then of course you can also play with the other options. For example, type action, if you want to see more information, if you want to navigate something, or no action, which will be the one I will select. You can select a theme for it. For example, this one is light, but it can be temperature, CPU, battery state, or something else. Let's keep it at light. And then we can also play with the size. It can be small, medium, and of course large. And we can play with the layout, which can be horizontal, but also vertical. Which is a nice thing, especially with the sections we now have in Home Assistant. And that's it. This is a really awesome card that can help you visualize the data that you want to see in your UI. And as I said, it works nicely with the sections, so anybody who is using them will, I hope, appreciate this new component. I know that some of you may be bored with this, but if you do like this component, if you want to say thanks to Francois for creating this one, click on star so that the author knows that people are liking and using their component. It's not just the numbers of the downloads, it's also the stars that really matter. Next component is something for all of you that have custom domains or are using some kind of free, for example, dynamic DNS service. I've already created a video on the Namecheap domain service or dynamic DNS service, but this one will work with duck DNS, no IP, and DNS Simple. So let's get started with this one. And by the way, if you want to say thanks to the Jasper for creating this awesome component, don't forget to give it a star. Once again, this component is not available currently inside HACS as official repository, so we will need to add it by hand. You can copy the URL, which will be located down in the video description, or you can copy it from here. Select it, copy it, click on 3 dots, Custom Repositories, paste it, select integration as type of the component, click add, and this should be it. Now search for dynamic, click on dynamic DNS, click on download, and after download is completed, we need to restart our Home Assistant. While Home Assistant is restarting, let's look at the documentations. As I mentioned, we have a couple of supported providers. The list may expand in the future. We have support for DNS, NoIP, these are the two services I used previously but am not using anymore, and also DNS Simple. Each of those services requires different setup, and since I'm not using them, I will show you how to get to the point where you need to input something, but then you will be on your own. For example, DNS requires, of course, domain name, for example, mydomain.duckdns.org, and you also need token. Token you can get from DNS official website after you log into it. It will update your DNS subdomain. For NoIP, it requires username, password, and hostname, and it will update your NoIP hostname. And DNS Simple is more complex and it will require account ID, token, zone, and record name. But at the end, the result is the same. You will get the updated DNS record for the DNS Simple. But this component also features additional service, or what is now known as action. This action is dynamic_DNS.diagnostics, and it will show all the diagnostic information for all of the, of course, if you have set up all of the dynamic DNS services. Let's go to Devices Services. In the integrations page, click on Add Integration, type in Dynamic, click on Dynamic DNS, which is a cloud and custom component service. Select DNS provider, for example, DNS, click Submit, and as I said, you now have to paste here your API token, DNS subdomain, and also the update interval. It doesn't verify if your external IP address has been updated or not. Instead, it will try to update the current state of the external IP address with the dynamic DNS provider that you have set up. And more or less that's it. Click on Submit, and this should be it. Very simple but very useful component from Jasper. So once again, if you are using it, don't forget to at least hit on the star button so the author knows that people are using it and really liking it. Now let's look at the next or the last component for today. This one is also integration, so we will once again need to restart our Home Assistant, of course, if you end up installing it. Once again, this is a brand new component, so we will have to copy the URL and edit by hand into the HACS. Copy this URL here, or copy it down from the video description. Go to Home Assistant, click on HACS, 3 dots, Custom Repositories, paste it, select Type Integration, and Add. This will add this custom component to the list of known HACS repositories, and type HA Tracker for HA Tracker. Click on it, click on Download. Download, of course, you can play with the version if you want to play with it, and we will once again need to restart our Home Assistant. We can click on Repairs and click on Submit. So what is actually Home Assistant Tracker? This is the application that allows you to track position of users that are registered inside Home Assistant and have their mobile apps. And it further expands on the map functionality you already have inside Home Assistant. Let's wait for Home Assistant to restart to see how this one works. After Home Assistant has restarted, click on Add Integration, type in Tracker, click on Home Assistant Tracker, and we have a couple of options. Update interval in seconds, default value is 10 seconds, geocoding time, again in seconds, 30 seconds, and minimum distance for geocoding, which is 20 meters. You can enable or disable debugging. I will just leave everything as is. Click on Submit, and this should be it. Now on the left side in the menu, you have option to click on HA Tracker, and you can see detailed information of all the users that have their mobile apps available. Some data here, of course, is hidden. You will also be able to see zones on the map. For example, this one is Home, Croatian Radio Television, and ISS tracking zone, which is a tracking zone for the International Space Station, and I get alerts whenever the ISS enters my airspace, so I can track it down. If you want, you can also add zones and also create filters. For example, this one will show me where this please subscribe user was in the last 2 days. But it looks like this user is not moving anywhere. If, for example, this user is moving, you should also see information about the speed of movement, etc., etc. While this component may not help you much with the automations in its current state, it is great if you, for example, want to see where your kids are, your elderly parents, or something similar. Just don't be creepy and stalk on people. And this is it for this brief video on new HACS components. There is already a list of around 100 more that I have that will be recorded in the near future. I'm not sure when the next video will be released because the day after you see this video officially released, I will be in a hospital on a surgery. If I stay alive and will be able to create new videos, there should be new video at least 2 weeks from now. If I get better sooner, maybe even the next week. Until then, if you did end up enjoying this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. It really means a lot to me and it also helps with the wacky YouTube algorithms. If you have any kind of a comment, question, suggestion, if you're author of any components that you want to get featured, drop me a line in the comment section below. Actually, you cannot drop the links, but you can drop me a comment, send me email, or share the link via the Instagram, Twitter, Blue Sky, or on my Discord server. And before I end up the video, as always, I want to say thanks to all those wonderful people that are supporting me and that have become YouTube channel members. Thank you all for all of your support. But let's not forget each and every one of you who has watched, shared, liked or commented on my videos. Thank you. If you too want to support the channel, you can do so by hitting the join button down below and becoming a YouTube channel member for only €2 or $2 per month. Or you can go to my merchandise store and get something there. Last but not least, you can always send me super thanks and I will be super thankful for that. I will be seeing you next time. Until then, bye bye and have fun.